getting ready to do a lot more.
Somebody say cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Who wants to model Victor? Say yes.
Yes.
Say, I see Vic in me. Say, I see Victor in me.
I see Victor in me.
Like, you're going to model that. Yeah, good.
For sure. So, and I did that, and to be honest with you, no matter what I've done, I framed it around what I learned. Seriously, like, you're just like, hey, look, this is the way you need to be mindset. I think I called you one time, really frustrated, and you were like, okay, yeah, and it was a very short conversation, but I needed to hear it, because at some point I needed that. But like we said, when you're modeling success and you have somebody that you can pick up the phone and say, hey man, here's what's going on, here's my challenge, and he's like, well, that's not a challenge, you need to do this. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But then I got off the phone and did it, and it worked. So, you know, and this isn't just me, celebrating him, like you guys can do this too, but you need the right people in front of you. You really do. So it's not just real estate. It starts, like you said, and I missed the other piece, it starts mentally, and then everything else spills out. And if you're in real estate, I mean, you're gonna make a lot of money, but it's still a lot of money. And let's face it, nobody's in here that wants to do real estate, it doesn't want to make a lot of money.
Awesome. You guys got any questions for Vic before you go, real quick?
Yeah, seriously, I'm open to answer questions. I'm super transparent, so whatever you need to know, I can answer. And if not, I'll defer to the man.
How did you start doing real estate? Because I know you talked about like you guys both work in projects and stuff. So how did you tap?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up in projects. My parents split up when I was young.
He just went back to sell drugs.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. So when I got out of the army,
I came from the project.
He did. So when I got out, so I left home when I was a kid. I was about 12 and a half, and I was about 13 or so when I moved to my dad. I had a kid when I was 14 years old, and I've been on my own ever since. So I kicked out of high school, I'm gonna flip it on that. Joined the army, got out, and then I started selling drugs. It's not drugs now, so.
He's getting back into it.
But I got busted and I was on probation. So while I was on probation, I had to work a job, and everyone hated their jobs, right? So I knew, like, okay, if you've been here for 10 years, you hate it. I've been here for 10 days and I hate it. Like something's not adding up. And I burned all the bridges that I had prior to that. So I fell asleep driving home one day on the road, and I woke up, and I was like, and they had to go and do it again because I worked nights. And I went to Hastings, sat on the floor, looked at all these real estate books, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that. It was fast cash. It was like a fast cash book in real estate. I actually took that book, sat down at work later on that night, cold called out of the phone book, cold call from the book to the yellow page, the newspaper. No one has newspapers anymore, so it slips my mind.
That's funny.
And I got a guy to say yes. And then the book also said, so now it was like, he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Sorry, I shut So, and then I'm like, all right, I got to do something. And then all of a sudden, the book didn't have any more chapters about what to do next.
Who's bought that course before?
Yeah, you got a yes, now what, right? So anyways, I cold called out of the phone book, and I got someone who would listen to me. And they became my first investment partners, and they were like, oh, go back to these people and see if they have more deals. So that first deal, that first property got me 24 properties. I got a bunch of multifamily properties and that one house. And it was a fixer-upper house, which I hate. Oh man, I hate fixer-upper properties. Yeah, pretty houses is the way to go. So anyways, it really is. So that property though got me introduced to another, some old partners, and that's how I started going to work with them. And they used to actually go and teach seminars, right? Because they sold notes and created financing. And that's how I met him. Because he was speaking, and me and a buddy of mine, Steve, I talked to Steve the other day, we wouldn't get off the bus. Because it was an ugly house thing. He wasn't getting off the bus either because it was ugly houses. And he's like, I don't do this. So
prima donnas in the past.
Yeah. No, but it was good. I took on that personality, and I'm happy that I did.
It was an ugly house book tour. It was an ugly house book boot camp tour. We all get on a bus and drive to the ugly houses and walk through them and assess, values and all that type of stuff. And he didn't get off the bus, and I didn't get off the bus because I don't need to get off the bus. Not because I'm a prima donna and I'm a prima donna, because I can tell you how much it's going to cost to rehab it from the bus.
Right.
So if I can teach you how to rehab a house from the bus, can I teach you how to rehab a house from Google Earth?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to buy and sell houses. I taught a blind man in Canada how to buy and sell houses. Blind, I'll repeat it again. He said he wanted to do seminars. I said, okay, that's a possibility. I can teach you how to do that. I know one thing will save a lot of electricity.
Right.
They're all blind, they don't like it. That's a bad joke. He laughed. So go ahead. Yeah, so then he met me there.
Yeah, so while we're on the bus, we had kind of adapted that skill too, because we're like, all right, we're not gonna get off the bus, we know what we pay. And he was like, oh, you guys too good to get off the bus. So, and we met him, we were like, okay, all right, so as we were talking, we met in the gym later on that night, and then we went out to dinner, right, and hung out. But we had a deal coming, we had put out a bunch of signs, so the city called, this was back then when we put out a bunch of signs, the city called and said, hey, you're gonna get fined if you don't take all these signs down. So, but that night, we had kind of hung out, so we were like, hey, Will, the city called, what do we say? And he was like, I'll say this. And then we also got a call from a guy that had a deal. So that guy that had a deal was like, hey, I have a deal, and I'm like, telling him, and I was like, what do I do? What do I say? So he was telling me. Again, this wasn't a part of that seminar, right? So Will was speaking, kind of made friends, and I'm telling him play by play what's going on. And he's like, oh, just say this. I think it was like, you're not gonna be in any worse situation than you're in now. That was what I left for the next few years saying that to people and getting deals. Because at the time, I don't think you weren't pumping a course or anything.
No, I didn't there, but I had a course back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
But then ultimately, they would meet and,
So, to this part of paying your way, like, he was like, I don't have the paperwork, because we were in Texas at the time, we were in Florida.
Yeah.
And you were like, and I was like, dude, I'll pay you. You're like, fine, I'll put the paperwork together.
Isn't it funny how people pay you, all of a sudden you pay attention?
Yeah, for sure. So like, I paid my way, like, but it was more than just, I was trying to get the paperwork, I didn't know what I was doing. That deal, we split the deal, so we made like $100,000 on the deal, I made half that. But I never made that much money on the deal, and I had more properties, and all of them were headache. So I was like, all right.
Did you pay me to do the paperwork for a tabletop closing, was that you or another guy?
That wasn't tabletop, no, that was tabletop closing too.
Somebody paid me 10 G's.
Oh, no, I didn't do that one.
Yeah, okay, so
I didn't
somebody
have to-
paid me $10,000 just to draw out the paperwork for him to buy a house subject to and take over the payments. Cause this seller said, I'll give it to you today, but I'm on a plane out of the country tomorrow and I don't care what happens to this house. So if you can do it today, I'll do it. So the guy told me, I said, I'll stop everything I'm doing. You send me 10 G's, you wire me $10,000 and I'll sit down and stop what I'm doing. You give me the old deed and what the agreement is. And I literally went on my computer and filled out all the stuff to put into a land trust, the whole 9 yards, and shipped it to him, and he sent me $10,000. How many like you get paid 10 grand just to do a little? I make a lot more than a title company,
Yes.
right? So go ahead. That reminded me of that deal.
And so you guys know too, I know the big concern, anybody buying stuff is like, all right, does this work where I'm at? So I moved to California 4 years ago from Hawaii. So I've been doing this in Hawaii, which is very similar to California, same constraints, same laws and legalities, what you can't do, can't do. And Will says, it'll probably say, I'm not worried about what I'm not supposed to do, I'm worried about going to jail.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's legal, you can't get it done, you just have to have the right controls in place. So, and that's the other, so like, well, can we do it here, or, is this the right market for it? We just did the deal, same, we were talking about, 72 deal, it was a pre-foreclosure deal, they were behind, they were all in it, this is a pretty house, we were all in it for like 6 1/4, they deeded the property over to us, we split profit with them 50-50, because I have a saying, if it looks janky, you're gonna, it looks bad in front of the judge, don't do it. So because there was so much equity, I was like, hey, here's what I'll do, I'll just split equity with you guys. 50-50, I don't know what that's gonna be, because my goal is to make a lot of money, but I know that you only owe 6 1/4, and I think it's worth $1 million. And they were like, cool, and again, true transparency, I was like, do you even have any of this money? Yeah, I got it. I was like, why don't you just do this, man? It makes no sense for me to take away like 350 grand, like you just did this. And he was like, man, I don't wanna be the one to kick my family out, because they were separated, right? They were still amicable, but the wife still lived there with their kids, he had moved on and stuff like that, but it was a part of the divorce. And sometimes you're gonna be in these situations, which is why it's so important to be ethical to these people and be mindful of who they are as human beings. So we did that deal, 45 days. I split profit with them, they got 100-some grand, we got like $100-some thousand. That deal was still happening, that was only a couple months ago. When everyone was like, hey, it's not gonna work. Now, should I have kept that deal? Probably, because the debt on there was like 2 point, the rate on there was crazy, and I could have kept it,
How many people love to screw up and make 170 G's? Say yes?
Yeah.
When I teach you how to do real estate investing, that's what you do. It's not, write this down, it's not which way you win or lose. It's not which way you win or lose, it's which way you win first. It's not, look, when I teach you how to do this, like, you just don't lose money in real estate the way I'm gonna show you how to do this.
You really don't.
You just can't. Not if you listen to me, which is what Victor's done.
Yeah.
Right? And I love the fact that he's kept the integrity level there at the same way. How many people love to go and help people and then give them money as well? Like, you don't have to. You can just say, look, I'll take this over and go do it, and I'm gonna tell you a deal about that in fast. Just man, real quick. What did I say? Something. It's not which way you win or lose, it's which way you win first. in real estate typically. And then this is what I'm talking about this weekend. You're going to a higher level that most investors won't ever know, because they don't want to pay for continuing education. Which, by the way, they've already invested in this, so.
Nice.
You know, in here, like I haven't even told them yet, like I'm willing to, I have actually, I think I have. I'm looking to help 12 people become millionaires in the next 12, 24 months, so I'm looking for 12 people. So for those that want to move forward, we'll talk about that tomorrow, what it looks like, and I'm gonna hand select you. And if I don't feel like you have the integrity or the level, or you don't have the money because it's construction, whatever, we'll have that conversation tomorrow. How many people think that's fair? Say yes?
Yes.
Yeah. How many people love to have my cell phone number like he does, so that you can text me at any time? How many people wish I had my cell phone number? When I first started, it was no gurus doing that. Like, it is, good luck. Alright, anything else? Is that it?
No, again, guys, like I said, man, it's been a blessing. My whole world has changed. My family's life has changed. To your point, we live in beachfront houses. I've had my own limousine, driver, a bunch of stupid stuff, like I said. Like,
You go through the phase.
You do.
I had a driver for a while. I didn't like him knowing everything I was doing. I got out of
You're
here.
like, okay, all right, this is nice. And you're like, man, I can't park this thing myself. So,
The fire truck.
yeah, you're like, all right, man, you're really.
You'll get bad millionaire habits. You can't wait to have some bad millionaire habits. Say, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You will. I promise you. You got something you'll waste a lot of money on. You just do. Mine's cars. Anything with an engine. Like I need blinders on like a horse if there's a for sale sign or something. Selena's like, no, go away. Like I bought a bread truck one time. I'll tell you a story about that. I'm telling you, it's got an engine in it, and I get a deal. I'm buying this thing. That's my bad habit.
I call him a lot. He's like, I'm working on my boat, working on this truck. I just got this thing. I'm like, that's cool, man.
I'm always a tinker, man. And I stopped doing it for a long time because it wasn't the highest and best use of my time. And I just felt myself getting stunted or depressed, or I don't know what it was. But I just started doing it again about a year or so ago. I'm like, you know what? This ain't the highest and best use of my time. Right? So I make a few $1,000. I think I made $8 or $9 or $10,000 on the last Jeep that I did. I still made money, but was it worth the time invested I did? Heck, no. I could make money a lot faster. But I enjoy doing it, and I do it at my own pace. Right? I mean, I got, as we speak right now, I have a '59 pickup truck that I put out on dually frame that I custom engineered how to do that on a newer dually frame. I got a '58 pickup truck. I got a '64 Mercury. I got, right, like I can keep going. Like all this stuff. And I'm literally looking on the stupid Facebook this morning for something. I'm like, get out of here. Right? It's like a disease, right? I'm like, what are you doing all this week? I don't know. When I die, my daughter's gonna deal with it. Like, you come into my garage and I got toolboxes, and people go, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a motivational speaker. Like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Some cool stuff. All right, man.
Anybody else have any questions I can help out with?
I'm gonna answer a ton of them. So give Victor a
Thank you
huge,
guys
huge,
so
huge
much.
round of applause. How many people love to hear that story?